What do you think flower power looks like? Does it look like this? Alright, so those of us who are using your library in a program in a bag, this is what you got in your bag. And I'll go through some of the measurements too for those of you who are just going to be making it on your own without my instructions. Of course, you got the instructions, templates. So let me hold this up. This is about 6 inches in diameter-ish. This circle here is about 2.5 in diameter. This leaf is about 1.5 inches across and about 3.5 inches long. Now, if you're not using mine, again, feel free to make this as big or as small as you want to, but that's what I'm doing. You can change up the flowers on your template. I just did 6 because that's what all of our hippie decorations look like this year. You could have some polyfill. And remember, we're going to try to use all of it. Got 2 pointed Q-tips. I like using these to adhere the fabric glue. This is Bish's Tear Mender fabric glue. So it's kind of got this consistency of water. And be careful getting on your clothes. I have yet to be able to get this out. It's a permanent fabric adhesive for a reason. So this part tends to get clogged, and so it's just easier for me to open up, unscrew it, and dip the Q-tips in. And those pointed ones are good because you get more precision. It's not just be a gummy mess at the end like your typical cotton swab. Okay. Getting chopsticks. We're gonna wrap some felt around these and make them into a stem. There's the green felt we're gonna use. There's the yellow for the center of the flower. And then, depending on your bag, you got 1 each, blue and pink, or you got 1 each, red and white. And those will be the petals of your flower. Those of you who don't have a library kit, well, I don't even have to pull it out. This is about 12 inches this way and 6 inches that way. So I guess that means if I fold it in half, it would make a perfect square, right? Yeah, it does. Okay, and all 3 of these pieces of fabric are 6 by 12. Now the things that you will definitely need, your favorite pair of scissors. I love these so much, my name's on it. A little faded though. And my favorite purple Sharpie. I'm using this so you can see really well on the video. So you don't need to use something like this. If you could do just a pencil or something more faint, as long as you can see it. First thing that I need to do is create or cut out. This is step 1. So cut all these templates out. I'm going to do that now. So I'm going to probably cut this so you don't have to see me cutting it. So I'm just going to snap my fingers. Oh, ta-da! Here they are all cut out. Now, first thing we're going to do is take your flower and your pink, blue, white, red, or whatever color you may have chosen on your own. Real quick measure to make sure that it stays on, it's on the fabric completely. Otherwise, you can fold this in half and just trim around it with your scissors and then try again. And since not all of the pieces I cut for you are perfectly square, also make sure that you can wrap this up on top. Still plenty of fabric on both sides. You don't see the white peeking out. Oh, that's a different stencil. So this looks pretty good. Now I'm going to trace, keeping as close to the edge as I can because I just have enough. Now, everyone else without library kits, I would love to see you make this huge. I would love to see this turned into a giant throw pillow or something. I could really get behind that. I love throw pillows. course, I'm not going to force you to watch me trace this whole thing, so I'm just going to snap. Ta-da! Now it's traced. Poorly traced, but traced nonetheless. And I know I didn't say it when you cut these out, but a good tip I can give you, always cut inside the lines, just to make sure you're going to have enough fabric. Not only that, but especially for using the marker like I did, you will probably not want to see that after your flower is done. So keep that in mind. You are not going to want to watch me cut this whole thing. So once again, I'll just snap my fingers. Whoa! Look at that, it's done. Okay, you don't need to cut out a second flower because we're just gonna flop this on top. Fluff side to fluffy side. This is minky fabric. I don't know if I mentioned earlier. So fluff to fluff. And you will glue it down like this, but first we're gonna cut out our other pieces. Get most of the cutting down on one step if we can. For your yellow minky fabric, you're gonna want your circle template. Bring it as close to the edge as you can. There we go. And trace it. You could probably do the 2, 2, and so on. But I'm gonna just snap my fingers so you don't have to watch me. Ready? Here we go. Hey, look. Yo, you just need to do 2 to start. And when we cut these out, we're gonna do just like we will with the flower petals here. So I won't make you watch me have to do this. I'm just gonna snap my fingers. Oh, got those done. So I'm gonna leave those 2 down here. I'm gonna save this for last, just because we're not gonna be, it's a different piece. The stem is separate from the flower for starters. We just wanna get that flower made. So let's get out our fabric glue. I love this stuff and I hate this stuff. I love it because it bonds so quickly and it bonds so well that you can throw this stuff in the wash after 15 minutes of drying and it won't come apart. So it's great stuff. But like I said, I get so scared of spilling it. And you got to be careful with how much you use. When something is as fluid as water like this, you have to be careful not to soak it, because then just like water, it'll start coming out to the edges, go in too far, you'll have less to work with. And bigger is always easier when it comes to plushies. You can also sew this, or you could use hot glue. I designed it to be a no-sew program, but if you feel like sewing works better for you, please sew it. Just wherever I say glue, in your brain, think sew. All right, so now I'm going to get my pointed Q-tips. Get it soaked a little bit, and then I'll try to bring this closer for you. Where the 2 pieces of fabric meet around the outside, soak those together. Wet them together like this. Let me show you up close what this is looking like. Okay, I will also need to push it down as you go too, because that is helping the bonding happen. And this is real time. I just pushed down and boom, it started going. So back to this. So the stuff is non-toxic. Don't be afraid to touch it or get it on your skin. See, I got some on my skin. Looks kind of like when Elmer's glue dries, only it's stickier, but you just rub your fingers together. Then it looks like a booger. And I'll throw it in my trash. Okay. Not a big deal. So I'm not gonna make you watch me do this for both these and then the flower. I'm just gonna get this done and I'll come back to you in just a snap. Wow, that was amazing. First, I would like to show you. Can you see that? The way it's glued around there, and then I got it wet on the edges, I pressed it down. That's how I did that. So, that's what it should look like. All right, y'all, I'm gonna cut these out. And then of course I'll cut the flower out. And you don't have to watch me do it. At least not for long. See that? I'm keeping close to the circle, but I'm not going over the top the edge of the top circle. Does that make sense? That way it's still glued shut when I'm cutting off the excess. Moving on, I'm gonna snap my fingers and this will all be cut out. Alakazam! Look at that. Okay, so the next thing we want to do for all three of these things is cut them open. So it might be easier for you to see on the yellow circle. So you're gonna pinch each side and pull it apart. So you only have one side that you're holding onto, and cut that one side open. Just double check that. I usually make a little X. Try to get as close to the middle as you can, but of course not over the edge. And then once they're all cut open, you're going to turn them inside out. Now be careful as you're pushing it out and shaping around the outside with your fingers, because you'll probably need to do that. Chances are you're not going to get a perfect circle. See, mine's not. But as you're trying to fix that, just kind of be mindful not to push so hard that your finger pops through the seam. So, see, that's getting better. Then you're going to take a little bit, just a little bit, you don't need a lot, unless you want. Just a little bit here. If you want it to bulge, stuff it bigger. If you just want it to sort of blend in, don't stuff it too far. Okay, I've got it stuffed about that far. Okay, I'll do the same thing with this one. All right, so you got both of them stuffed, kind of shaped as best you can without popping it out. If you do pop it out, it's not a big deal. You just take your glue, take this, get a little bit on the tip, stick it in the hole, and twist and pinch, and pull this out. And that's all it takes to fix it. Not a big deal. Okay, now moving on to our flower. Pulling it, and snip it open. Same thing as before with an X. I like using these little scissors. I feel like I can be more precise and not risk cutting too much. I don't want to cut it open too much. So, and flip it out. Now this one, same as before. You need to go in there and poke out each of the flower petals. Try to push them out as much as you can. Okay, that's all pushed out. Now, pull out small little bunches for the petals as you go. I didn't show it here, but what I should have told you to do was first, before using any of this, divide it in half, and then try to use as much as you can of one half to make each flower. Try to use it up. Now, I'm not even bothering with stuffing the middle yet. It just seemed like it would be a waste of time. Having it thinner in the middle is what's going to make it easier to place the yellow bud in the center. Go. And then just try to get them as equal as you can. Don't lose your mind if you're not, remember? Hippies would tell you to chill. Peace, man. And you'll have a very pretty flower. I've used all of my stuffing. Now, I'm gonna try if I can. It's not a big deal if you can't make this happen. Pull this back in the middle like that. See? I'm gonna put some glue here. And I'm going to try to take each of these little corner parts of the flower and smush it into the glue. I might need to add more glue to it. Get it under there. It's okay if it stains the other side, because remember, this is where the yellow bud is going to go in the middle. See, there we go. Can you see that? How it's sticking? Okay, Try to do it with all 4 of them if you can. Sometimes it helps to put the glue on the little corner piece first here. Whatever you do, try not to get any wet glue on the outer parts of the petals. And you can carefully clip them out with tiny scissors. If it dries up and leaves an ugly booger there, because this stuff does not dry clear. It dries kind of beige-ish. Tea color, I've heard. Okay. Push really hard down. So there's that side, and there's that side. Okay, now we got these. You don't even need to bother to sew the little corners from your X cut down with this. No, not necessary. So, make sure the shape's real nice. And I'll start with this side here. Which one looks well, it doesn't matter. It's gonna be double-sided. So put the glue directly on here where you want it to stick. I keep mine close to the edge of the seam. That way the rest of this can stretch out and puff out a little bit more, but also still be receded behind the petals a bit. Okay, there we are. And now I'm just gonna push my edges in. Hopefully your fingers aren't still wet. If not, I always pick my fingers up that feel like they got contaminated. See, and there's one side. Now we're just gonna continue on the other side. Ready? Go. Hey, there we are. Okay, now next part. First, give a quick look around in between the petals of your flowers. If you see any holes, well, you might be able to use that. Because this is the place we're making for putting the stem through. So I did a great job of gluing mine, so I don't happily have an accidental hole here I can just use for the stem. So I'm just gonna push through with something sharp. You could probably use tips of the scissor. You could also use something like a pen, a pencil, or you could just turn those around and sneep, sneep. Yeah, this method's definitely working better for me. The sneep, sneep, yes. All right. Now let's take one of these chopsticks. There we go. Put it through the hole, push it around. Doesn't matter if it opens up the glue that you had to push down the petals earlier. That does matter. Oops. Okay, so I think it's in far enough. And remember I told you that little trick about how to fix a hole. Ooh, teachable moment. So you see the hole, stick this in here, and then I'll try to pinch it tight the best I can and pull this guy out. And see, cut off that little bit of glue. See? There we are. Now, let's put the flower aside. And we're going to get our green felt here. And we are going to encase it in the green felt. Now remember what I was saying earlier about being careful because this thing has the consistency of water? Well, let me show you what I mean. So, you get this onto the felt, it soaks right through, especially when you're pushing it down. So, there's some ways around this. I'm going to see if I can double up. I just had the idea to do this right now. Let's see. I could just double this up. Oh, good. That means you won't have to see it. This should keep it from bleeding through. Okay. And this little fold over I made. Oh, here we go. Okay, looks like it's 2 inches. I folded it over 2 inches. Okay. So now I'm going to take my chopstick, pull it to the edge as far as I can, and roll it and pinch. It might be time for me to switch sides on this cotton swab. What do y'all think? Okay. Yeah, switch sides like I said I would. Okay. Now let's fold it over. Pinching it together right now is what I'm doing. Also trying to roll it over a little bit further just to make sure. Ah, there we go mostly. So a little more glue is needed on this other side, I see. Just fix that. Here we go. So, looks like I should be good to cut it off now. You don't have to watch me cut. All right, we're back again. It's all together. I'm just gonna stick some glue in at each end here to seal it closed. Now, you could leave it open at one end and maybe slide a pen in there later. Then when that pen's dead, you can just slide the pen right back out and still have a flower pen. Okay, this one's actually together pretty good. Just do that. All right, there we go. So now since I was able to make this end a little smaller, it's probably the best one to use to push inside the flower. All right, so there's our hole. Go ahead and push that through. You want it to go deep enough that the flower can stand on its own. So there we go. See, it can stand up on its own just fine. Of course, I can glue this shut later. But for now, there we are. And then just to attach this, get your cotton swab ready. Pull this out a little bit. Apply glue on both sides, or all the way around, your choice. There we go, and then push it back in. There you go, now it's in there. All right, now we got one more last step to do. And that's the leaf. You can skip this part if you want to, but I don't know, for me, I either go big or I go home. So let's trace the leaf one. Depending on how much of this felt you have left after you make one leaf for each of the flowers, you might be able to add a second one. Oh yeah, I think you could easily add a second one if you wanted to. That's up to you. I'm on a bit of a time crunch here, so I'm just gonna do the one. Okay, and again, I won't make you watch me do this. All right, there's our leaf. So, figure out where you want it. I put it up kind of high. So, I'm just applying glue to the tip of the leaf on which I'm going to place this on. Remember, got to be careful with how much you add because this might soak through. And in my case, yes it is. It is soaking through. But it's stuck on. See that? You can usually just turn around and when you put it on display so you can't see it. Or it works with the black if you have maybe a green marker. You can color over this and make it blend in more. Oh, actually that's not too bad. What you think? Okay. So we are all done making one Flower Power plushie. If you have enough stuff to make another one, please repeat this video and do it again. Now, fun thing about flower power is you use kindness to win people over to your arguments. So if you're disagreeing about something, here's some old school libraries of Team Edward versus Team Jacob. You know, you can disagree about who Bella should be with, and you know, you can still just give the other person a flower so they hear you out and hear why you feel the way you do. That's what it's all about. You know, you don't need to get mean or violent to have a discussion with somebody whose opinion is different from yours. That's what flower power is. I know who I need to give this one to. So keep it for yourself if it brings you joy, or give it to someone else to show them that you care, even if you disagree. That's all I got for today. Bye now, everyone.